Hello, 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 ladies and gelatins. Welcome to another Monday and a short stream again because life is still lifing very much so. And honestly, I've been really enjoying like the hour-ish streams lately. Like they feel very manageable, even when my schedule is super busy and stuff with work is simultaneously getting less and more chaotic. I swear, like I have this new project and just like the more I learn about this project, the more, like, the less I understand. Like, as in, the more I find out this thing is absolutely ridiculous. And, like, I just want to put this into perspective. Like, this project makes over $1 billion every year. And everything, like the databases, the code, the everything is such a chaos nightmare realm that like I am baffled that it's able to make this kind of money. I am baffled and just listen. I seen the kind of me no the products. There's this team of like so many people who work on this. Like there are sub teams of people who work on this product. Gosh, no, $1 billion. That'd be a different kind of nightmare. Oh, anyways, random thing. Which, hi, Kira. First of all, it's the confetti cannon. I absolutely forgot to get any liquid whatsoever. So the hydrate, I might just have to dehydrate instead, just a little bit. No water, no tea. Whoops, kind of forgot. No, I literally cannot because I don't have anything. But like, okay, so hear me out though. So there, water is free, but it's okay, fine. I have water. It's fine. I have water now. Water is watered, and I have drank some water. I have hydrated. There. I hope you're happy at making me do healthy things. Betty Cannon for hydrating. Don't be a hypocrite. Hope you're hydrating too. Anyways, so I read this short story called Mana, like Manna, and it's like basically the short story from like a hot minute ago about how like there's two different ways that like AI can be, and like basically the ideas are like you can end up serving AI or AI can end up serving you, and it's very interesting. It's like it's a weird short story, but I highly recommend just kind of reading through it. Like the second part of it, I have opinions. I have really strong opinions, but I don't want to like spoil anything. It's just on the internet. If you just search Mana short story I guarantee it's like the first thing that comes up. And you know what? I'll check that. I'll check that it's like the first thing that comes up. Mana short story. Yeah, it's like it's on a website. This guy Marshall Brain. It's literally not Brian. It's Marshall Brain. And like I looked at it on a website that had like ad blocker and stuff, so I didn't see anything else. But like I didn't read anything else. I don't know who this guy is. Whatever. It's just ignore everything else. Read only the short story, and then have opinions. No, not that. Like okay, I literally typed the word. I typed mana short story. Okay, fine. I'll just put it in. I'll just put it in chat. In my Phantasmacat. Phantasmagora chat. Phantasmagora chat. Where? Oh, here it is. Oh, you found it, and you posted it faster. You win. But yes, so yes, it is there, and Kira to post the correct link. That is the beginning of this short story. It's literally like a couple pages. No, not like a couple. It's like 10 pages, I think, maximum. So, like, it's still a short story. And, like, there's two parts of it. The first part's interesting. The second part is interesting, but also I have opinions. And if anyone wants to, like, private message me about that on Discord, that's specifically about the story, this would be acceptable, because I would be interested in having a discussion about it. So that's that. Or like with or publicly, but with spoiler tags. Yes, we don't even need to make it a thread. We can put it in Phantasmagoricat, but like if you have opinions about the story, please post it there and put it in spoiler tags, because that way everyone can be involved, but it also can be spoiler tagged. That would be ideal, actually, yes. Ignore everything else I said. That's the most acceptable / only acceptable option now. So that would be amazing. But yes. So still. Yes. That's all I can say about that for now. But yeah. It's really interesting, but my point was really just gonna be that, like, having seen what like big corpo code bases and databases look like, and the deeper I get, the more horrifying it gets, the more I'm just like, y'all, AI cannot take our jobs anytime soon. It just cannot. Because there's just so much information that's in people's heads, and half their information is wrong, and then they get it, and then you go to someone else's head and half their information is wrong, and sometimes the overlapping information is wrong, and sometimes the overlapping information is correct, and the only way you can find out is kind of by like guessing and checking yourself. And then the people who made the stuff left the company like 5 years ago. No one knows how it works anymore, but it keeps going. And AI still hallucinates a lot of stuff. And don't get me wrong though, like it is getting better. Like I can like they force us to use AI at work, and I don't mind it at all, honestly, because it's I don't mind it personally. I just don't. I don't mind being forced to use it, because then I don't feel bad about using it. I feel like it's the only way to actually get people to use it and not feel bad about it is to force people to use it. And for a lot of the stuff, for coding and stuff, like it's definitely getting a lot better. And like I said, I know this because I have seen this evolve. Basically, every few months, it evolves in some way. But it's still not. It can't take over, because it just can't. But in a way, it kind of is, because like more and more, like the higher up people are in the chain, the more and more of their thinking they're just offloading to the AI. The amount of just like tasks I get where the descriptions were clearly just made by AI, and sometimes it's like someone puts in like bullet points and then says make this into a ticket, right? It is one thing, but then no one actually like proofreads the things that they have written. So it's interesting. Yes. Oh gosh, no, see the thing is that like numbers and percentages and all that stuff are all completely ridiculous. Like it's this XKCD. The second a metric becomes a target, it loses all value as a metric. Hello, Uncle. How's it going? And it is really, really interesting, because like they'll be like, okay, everyone, so you need to have at least 50% of your commits. At least 50% of them. You gotta be with Gen AI. And you're like, okay, but like, what does that mean? Does it mean that like, it touched the code? Does it mean that it like filled in some comments? Does it mean, and they're just like, yeah. And you're like, okay. Because they're getting the metric from the people above them, who are getting the metric from people above them, who are getting the metric from people above them, because someone wants to make sure that everyone's using the AI, because the AI will make you maybe 10% faster and more efficient. Now, what does it look like to have someone be 10% faster and more efficient? Don't know. Really have no idea what that's supposed to look like, because what does it mean? Does it mean you finish your tasks 10% faster? Well, your tasks are never exactly the same. That's like, it's literally, it's so interesting. Exactly. Everything is so dependent on everything else. Yeah. No, that's yeah, unfortunately. And there's also the fact that like the more people are writing with AI, the more we're all talking more like AI because it's just becoming more of a way that people speak also. And it's also the thing, I love M dashes. I've always loved M dashes. I never stopped using them. But people are just like, oh yeah, when you see an M dash, you know it's AI. I'm like, or someone who just actually likes grammar. Right? And it's a thing. Some semicolons, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Right? Because the thing is that AI is getting the trait from the fact that most of the long form writings are written with correct grammar. Because think about it, most of the people who don't write with correct grammar and punctuation and stuff, it's with these like super short form, like no capitals, etc. So like all of the weights of the model are going to be like, oh, this is the normal, more normalized way to write, especially in long form text, which is what we generally use to train AI, and not like we also train it on crappy text, but if you're writing in crappy form, you're more likely to get crappy form, but we're also telling it to not really write like that. So it's like a whole thing. Exactly. That is exactly what it is, Kira. And that's why it's like, it's a pattern AI because it writes correctly and most people don't. But that's the thing. If you're one of those people who always wrote like that, you like to use bullet points, you do this sort of thing, like they assume it's AI. And it's just painful. So it's also tough because now we also live in the world where people will see a photo and if they'll assume it's AI if it's not, just because it's something they've never seen before, and then they won't know when something is AI. Like I've been caught by a couple things that I like didn't look at very like I've been scrolling on some videos before. Like we all do the scrolly scroll. And I've got caught by a couple things that are like, ooh, what pretty art thing. And then like the person responds like that's AI. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Because like it's just your brain gets turned off while you're scrolling. You can get caught by stuff sometimes, but like it's not like you're saying, "Oh my gosh, this thing is beautiful and we should pay this artist money for it." You're just like, "I like how it looks with my eyeballs." You know? Of course, I always prefer things that aren't AI, and the more unreal something looks, the worse it is. But when I see something I've never seen before, I'm intrigued by it. Yeah. No, I still just use parentheses and em dashes and stuff. I'm never gonna stop. If someone thinks that I'm becoming like AI, then I don't know. Then that's not really a person that I need to care about in my life. Personally, honestly, if someone's gonna judge me for my writing style and think that I wouldn't spend the time myself, then it's uh it's not my problem. I don't post a lot of things like publicly on the internet anyways. Like streaming is pretty much the only thing I do even remotely publicly, and it's not even listen, I'm a jellycat online and it's as public as it gets for me. So yeah, no, exactly. Like I don't mind the skepticism people have. Like here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that we've introduced more skepticism into just the internet in general. Especially anything that involves corporations, right? Like we should have incredible distrust of corporations. But wow. And but I don't know, sometimes we also live in a world with like the official countries posting Lego rap diss tracks that actually kind of slap, and you're just like, I mean, I hate the AI, but also this feels like a good use of it. It's interesting. It's super weird to have the mixed feelings about it, but like it's also like having mixed feelings about things is a part of being human anyways, so you just kind of also got to embrace it. Don't lift enough challenges. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Gosh, okay, there is nothing I hate more than like bad metrics, honestly. Listen, I adore data. I love data. I love good data especially, but even like bad data you can like do something with as long as you recognize that it's bad. But when people actively ask you for bad data or expect bad data, and I'm not talking like specifically like a negative thing, I'm talking like, oh, can you like, by the way, like you don't express enough challenges? Because like, here's the thing, they're probably telling you that because like someone above him is telling him that he needs to be expressing more of these sorts of things. And so all of the responsibilities get pushed down the hierarchy because like more and more, like as a dev, like we get more and more responsible for like, okay, now I need to manage my tickets. Now I need to write my tickets. Now I need to also do dev and QA and validation and also make sure that I write enough documentation for everything and also make sure that I use enough Gen AI and also make sure that I'm doing a side thing and also learning more stuff while also taking on more work because supposedly I'm going to be more efficient, but also like it's and don't forget, because like when you get evaluations you have to create the words that then your boss can use to sell you to his boss so that you can get money, raise, whatever, any kind of positive thing going for you. Like you gotta play this really complex game with this, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Doesn't mean it's not interesting, but some of the stuff, like specifically metrics, are just not my jazz. Yes, no, that's the thing, but that's the thing. Like, even if the thing is that, like, usually, like, unless you're really high up there, like, they don't even care that the data can be skewed. Like, the higher up you go, the less they seem to understand how skewed the data is. But, like, at the same time, even people way up at the top are trying to justify their existence. Every single person is just trying to justify their existence in, like, the corpo ladder. Hello, hello. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yep. Oh, goodness, yes. Yeah, no, it's been a while, but, you know, always welcome. Like, I'm around. We chill. We still chill. We're just discussing. We're discussing corpo. Oh my gosh. Learn some critical system. Yep, more tickets. Also, oh gosh. Oh no, you have to also interact with the customers about it. Oh gosh, yep. Yep. Gosh, I do know that feeling. But that's the thing, like you also, it's like there's this thing where like the more competence you show, you can get rewarded for it, but also you definitely instantly get rewarded, quoties, with more work. The faster you finish your work, the more work they're going to give you. So that's why you want to have a nice balance of not doing too much, but also definitely not doing too little. Like, it's bad to go the other way, and it's also like lame, but exactly. Yes, exactly. Your reward is more work. Exactly. And like, it's okay to do a good job, and it still should be something like do it for your own pride, do it for like your own thing, but like do not let it ever interact like mess with your work-life balance. I say this as someone who actively still struggles. I will tell other people because I don't want them to be like me. Because I am constantly still dealing with just a little bit of imposter syndrome because I keep getting moved from project to project, so I have to build all the goodwill with the people I work with over again from scratch when it's new people. I mean, it's not completely new people. Like some of them are coming with me to the teams, and some of them will remember me from previous teams, but I feel like I still have to constantly put on that good face of like, no, I'm a good one. I'm one of the good ones. You can trust me. Because then when they trust me, then when I actually do need more time to do something, they'll believe me that I'm like, oh no, this is a complicated thing. They'll be like, oh wow, if you're saying it's complicated, then. Oh yes, no, definitely. Do not believe you. Or sorry, do not blame you. 100% believe you. I'm so glad that my brain's like, hey, you should say both those sentences at the same time and say, I don't believe you. I don't blame you. I believe you. 100%. Yeah, no, honestly, I've learned this also from the people. Like, the higher up you get, the less speed people will take on things. Like, literally, it's a thing. Yep. Yep. Also, you have to be careful because if you start too hard too fast, they'll keep expecting the same thing. And like, I'm not trying to speed through everything personally. I'm just trying to do a good job, and that can be enough, especially when I'm also dealing with the ADHDs on top of everything. Which, luckily, I am medicated now. Again, like legally. By legally, I mean like in Poland versus like when I was legally medicated in the US. I had to go, but my point was I had to go through the whole process again. I'm not just like trying to live off of caffeine and stress, but still. Yeah. No, you have to be careful with that too, because if you're the only person staying late and doing more, there's only two things that can happen. One, you get to go to the next level, which is good luck because a lot of that has so much more to do with arbitrary budget decisions and politics on much higher up the food chain than you'd ever want to know about, versus what you're actually doing. Like, you can't move up unless they have the budget and also a space for it. And also, you have to meet the arbitrary minimum amount of time so that, like, hey, you're doing like the senior level work. But we can't do anything about that yet. It's all right. It is what it is. Yep. Oh, goodness. Corpo is interesting. Like, here's the thing. I have a lot of complaints about the system as a whole, but I also appreciate a lot of things about it. Like, like, for a lot of the downsides, there's also some weird upsides. Not all of them, but a lot of them. For example, the fact is there's a lot of stuff that goes slow, but there's a lot of stuff that goes slow because of other people, which means there's a lot of stuff that happens slow, like for me as well. Like, oh, I have to wait for access, or oh, I need this answer from this person who's completely ghosting and not responding to me before I can do this. Oh, I'm blocked on this, this, and this. Right? Like, if you're blocked, you can have some moments where you're just kind of chilling for a little while sometimes, and that can be nice. And that happens much more in Big Corpo than in like any other place. You can also have very much stability because it just takes time to do anything, including, you know, anything bad. So, also because everyone is all having trouble with things going fast, the bar can be very low for certain things too, which means that it can be not that hard to exceed it if you try. Or that you can also just kind of chill and coast sometimes. Benefits can be really, really nice. I do enjoy a lot of the benefits that I have. Like, I'm still extremely happy with the job in general. I'm still extremely happy to have a career. I'm still extremely happy that, like, I'm here in this place where I worked so hard to get to, and that's all good. Anti-corporate, yeah. I understand. I'm not... It's complicated. Because, like, I'd prefer if it was something less privately owned, but also there's problems with corruption in government-owned things, so I feel like it's kind of hard to win. So, it is what it is. Monday. Oh, yeah. You know what? That's fair. Maybe that's why I'm having opinions about work today. It is a Monday. I don't usually talk much about work stuff, but like I said, here I am, and I have half an hour left. Well, actually, let's play the game. Let's play the game that I only have about half an hour to do. I totally thanks everyone for listening to my opinions. I would love to Stanley, but I don't think I can Stanley yet. I think I have to Minorikawa first until I can Stanley, because Stanley's still currently blocked. I'm not really sure how to get to Stanley, but I want to get there. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening to me have opinions about Corpo, which are very mixed and also very Monday. Anyways, after that, the interview with SOS went off without a hitch. Now the tension was diffused. He's an ordinary young guy. Cool. Skippy. With a beaming grin, Chiaki held out her computer. Minorikawa got ready to start typing, but then a young man barged into the bar. The newcomer hurried over to where Susumu was sitting and promptly prostrated himself on the floor. Whatever this was about looked like a big deal. Who was this kid? Gang's feelings looked decidedly mixed. Oh gosh, the bill. Oh, and don't worry, I will definitely not receive that bill, and I won't be able to actually accept it because you didn't put the right billing code in, and I'm gonna need to send a ticket to someone else to make sure it actually gets the right billing code first before we can put that through. So don't worry, I can definitely corpo around paying money for that too. I need people to bring a guy down. I'm here to ask for your help. I know I have no right to ask you this, but please, I really need your help. As Minorikawa listened to the young man's conversation with Susumu, he could feel his blood start pumping. It sounded like they were talking about the terrorist plot in which Shibuya had become embroiled. Hey, Chiaki, he said quietly. Did you hear that just now? I did. I'm not sure I follow all of it, but it definitely has the whiff of a major scoop. Minorikawa shot her a daring grin. So what's the play here, Chiaki? We interview him, of course. We only have 30 minutes left, right? Take 10 minutes for a conversation, use the remaining 20 to write up the piece. I'll help you out. You learned good, kiddo. Minorikawa ruffled Chiaki's hair again, but blushed profusely, gripped by a surge of excitement. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are you doing this? I can't make any sense of it whatsoever. Kadama stood peering at them skeptically. If you write up the piece you did just your interview for, you'll make your deadline. Why go out of your way to trouble yourself further? It's no trouble, Minorikawa said. Just doing what a professional does, that's all. Kadama let out a solemn sigh. Good grief. Yada yada. He looked at his pocket watch again, then snapped it shut. Well, if you aren't concerned about the time, then do as you like, I suppose. I'll admit you've made me quite curious to read this magazine you're putting together. Minorikawa and Chiaki rolled their eyes as they turned away. And already they were making their way over to Susumu and his gang. The interviews aren't over yet until you have what you need. You refuse to let them be over. You spend every last second you have to do the best job you can. That's what being a professional journalist is all about. Minorikawa cracked his knuckles and stepped between the two young men. Sounds like you've got an interesting story. Mind letting me hear it too? I like how the music when you're on this side is completely different than when you're on the other side of just like bleeding. End. Oh. End of his story. And so how do we get to Stanley? Maybe we have to jump a little further. Let's find out. When Achi marched back, okay, the Kano were overjoyed to see him. Their happiness raised his own spirits unexpectedly high. He felt a palpable sense of accomplishment. And yeah, I know, I thought we were gonna finish this like 2 months ago. And yet here we are. And I'm still having a great time. Everything's great. Even chatting for half an hour first was still fun, at least for me. So I hope not just me. All right, detective, Achi shouted. Let's do this. His resounding cry echoed throughout the workroom, and the gang set out for the scramble. What's the matter? Tomi asked Achi as they made their way through the busy streets. What's the matter with what? You look pretty pale. She peered good and hard into his face. Do I know? Are you tired or something? I mean, you've kind of been going all out all day long after all. It's nothing. Achi kept his voice nice and bright. Just a little hungry is all. Don't worry about me, or Alphard either, okay? Swear I'll keep you safe, Tomi. All right. Tomi gave a tiny nod. Just leave it to me. Alphard got nothing on this guy. He thumped his chest in display of bravado. We could feel the sweat beading on his brow. It is. Okay, hey, no, I love that description. Absolutely, like, just drive-in style road trip, but it's a visual novel with just chillin' and enjoying it. Oh my gosh. Just Driving was so much fun to play. Like, I don't think I really could have got, like, I could have kept going with it, but I was good. I got everything I wanted to get out of it for the stream, right? But I really, really, really enjoyed it. And like I still keep some of those songs on my real life playlist. Even though definitely a bunch of stuff got muted, which is also the reason why I'm like, yeah, this is enough for the streamy part of it. I hope anyone else gave that a shot also, because it's a really, really unique, good game. When they reached the Scramble, Achi took his place at the location specified by the battle plan Kano had drawn up. Tomi was only a few meters away. Whatever happened, he was in a good position to shield her from harm. There were 3 minutes left until the appointed rendezvous. Achi wondered what sort of person was going to show up. Still, he knew he couldn't scan the crowd too much. He needed to act as naturally as possible so Alphard wouldn't be suspicious. He risked a glance over to Tomi. Maybe now wasn't the time for admiring, but he couldn't help to think how cute she looked. In some ways, seeing her there felt similar to when he'd first seen her that morning in the very same spot. The difference is that this time, it wasn't just Hitomi's good looks that made him find her so attractive. They might have only spent a few hours together, but in that time, he learned a lot about her as a person. He knew it was important to her, what her worries were, her wants and desires. Also, he'd learned what a kind-hearted person she was. Achi recalled what had happened back in that workroom. Even though her own life had been in danger all day, Hitomi had shed tears for his father and sister. Listen, he actually really loves her. I mean, okay, like the beginning of like crushy, lovey kind of thing. Like he's got it bad. It's not a simp to actually like someone as a person. It's not. She really understood people's grief and suffering. But I understand if you like the Minorikawa too much more. What do I do if I can't protect someone as good as her? Achi muttered under his breath, clutching his right leg. His shin was throbbing wickedly where the pipe had smashed against it. He'd been okay walking so far, but any intense fighting, the leg might just give out. He couldn't let himself worry about that now. If it came down to it, he'd be a human shield to protect Hitomi if he had to. Achi looked at his watch, only 1 minute to go before 7 p.m. He glanced at Hitomi and saw her eyes widen with surprise. Quickly, he followed her gaze across the plaza. He spotted a tall white man approaching. Oh no, the white man. He approached. Okay, we gotta keep out here. As opposed to white. Oh yeah, that's right. The white boy. I remember that. Now we jump back to Achi. We unlock it. Was this guy Alphard? Yeah. The man arrived in front of Hitomi and began speaking to her. Hitomi, Maria, even Achi's father, this must be the guy who was responsible for everything. Achi felt a pressing urge to flatten him right then and there. Still, he knew he couldn't blow his cover till Kano gave the signal. Suppressing his raw emotions, he readied himself for action. Let's see. He hurt me, I'll hurt him back. The bill's gonna come due. Protecting Hitomi has to come first. Can't let anything happen to her. Have to set aside my hatred. I just need to focus on catching this guy. I don't feel like any of these are actually going to change what he does, but we can find out. I don't know. We can try see. Probably exactly the same. We can try a bunch of these things until we can find Stanley. Yeah, Digimon light novel. I mean, the Digimon world thing was really cool, but honestly, yeah, I would love like a light novel version of like Digimon style story as well. Like, especially because you could still like, you know, choose your partner and all that stuff. And just like, but people really like the battles and stuff. And the battles were all right. Like, they didn't really make me feel a lot of feelings when I was playing the battles specifically, but like, they were fine. There was nothing wrong with them. The story itself was also pretty interesting. And I still have to play the second part of it from the other side. I remember that now. I'll do that one day. To set aside my hatred, I just need to focus on catching the guy. Where's Stanley? Why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't Kano given the signal? Signal. Freeze. Suddenly Kano rushed forward, his gun drawn. Ignoring the pain in his leg, Achi dashed for Hitomi as fast as he could. He cut in between Kano and Alphard, quickly pulling Hitomi out of danger. Hitomi! Kano shouted, call Kanan again. Shielded by Achi now, she brought up her cell phone and dialed the number. Some time had passed and there was no answer. There'd been some kind of trouble on Kanan's end? Looking increasingly worried, Hitomi tried calling several more times. And Alphard withdrew some strange vials from the attaché case he'd brought. Kano's face wavered with alarm. This had to be the terrorist trump card, then. Kano and Alphard were having some sort of debate. Achi couldn't hear the specifics, but tensions were clearly running high. Kano hesitantly lowered his gun. To unlock anything? Susumu, let's see. Achi. Oh. Okay, we can't because we have to get further first. Hold on. Let's get all the way there with Achi. We did not need to jump to Kano, though it felt like we did for some reason. I feel like there's a reason why we're supposed to be going back and forth here. Looks like it's time for our trump card. Susumu! At a signal, the gang emerged from the crowd, moved en masse to hem Alphard in. Surrounded. Now the terrorist was visibly at a loss. Certainly don't look like police. You're right about that, Achi said. I mean, just take a look. I gathered a bunch of people who love Shibuya more than their own lives in order to take your ass down. As he spoke, he made sure to keep Hitomi shielded behind him. The pain in his leg was getting worse and worse, but he tried his utmost not to let it show. There's no escape, he declared. You've lost. Lost? Me? Well, it sure doesn't look like you're gonna get away. Alphard grimaced at Achi's words. See, then it appears our negotiations are at a close. Achi still seemed so confident. Something definitely didn't feel right. He really doesn't care if he survives. Oh no, he was gonna unleash the virus, accepting it would kill him too. Alphard met Achi's eyes, and seeing the haunted realization there, the terrorist flashed a wicked and triumphant grin. Enough of the high and mighty act, Susumu shouted, beginning to stomp towards Alphard, but he didn't reach him in time. The vials in Alphard's hand went sailing high in the air. Look out! Catch him! Catch him! Achi gestured for his comrades to fan out across the open space. Then, out of nowhere, a huge explosion blew Achi clean off his feet. His eardrums ruptured and his world was engulfed in an eerie silence, as if time had stopped. Then he lay crumpled on the pavement. The one thing that still rang in his ears was the tinkling of glass as countless vials smashed on the concrete. Deadened. Okay, but like, how do we unlock Stanley? Gotta go back to Stanley goes on his own. Turned around, okay. American look haggard. Something the matter. Go to the Scramble without me. Where's this coming from all of a sudden? Something else has come up and I have to see to it. So how do I get to Stanley? I understand. Do what you have to do and come back soon. Sorry. Wish I could tell you more. It's alright. I'll find a way to get by. I had a vague idea what Stanley was up to. Probably felt like he needed to keep things hidden from his own allies in order to keep Alphard in the dark. At least that was Kano's guess. This was no ordinary opponent they were up against. Keeping secrets amongst friends wasn't a bad call. I promise you one thing. Once this is all over, you'll go have a beer with me. Sure, alright. Kano couldn't help but smile. That's a promise now, remember? Okay, hold on. The promise these two made just now mirrors another made by a certain pair of brothers in the past. Once this is all tidied up, I'm gonna need a drink. Let's you and me have a beer together. That's what the younger brother said, and the older brother still feels the pain of that promise unfulfilled. Why? Stanley hurried out of the workroom. Okay, no, but for real. All right. Kira, Hinto. Where do I unlock the Stanley? Because I have all of the things. I just need to know what place to unlock him. I will check a little earlier in the timeline, but that's all I can really do. This won't lead to like 1805. Is there a jump I don't have? Like, it's still part of 18. I'm not sure who else I could jump to. How else I could jump to save. Salute, it's 1610. Okay. Lake Ancano? Or salute 16, 610. Let's try. Yes, you're right. Kind of did his best to quash his emotions. And we're good. Tateno get a slight nod and went out the door. Tateno. Just before the older man disappeared, gave him a silent salute. Perfect. It was a breach of protocol to salute while in plain clothes and without his cap. Still, it was the best way he had to let Tateno know how he felt. I'll leave the rest to you. Tateno took one last look over his shoulder before finally leaving the workroom. Okay. Tateno. All right. I don't know how I would have found that. I don't even... Okay, here we are. Kyozo Tateno. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. Kyozo Tateno gingerly flexed his right elbow. It was still a little sore, but it shouldn't interfere with his ability to drive. Does that hurt? He asked the girl called Kanan. No, I'm all right. Good thing I didn't kill you, she said, her tone matter of fact. You ought to thank the younger detective. If you hadn't stopped me, you wouldn't be here right now. Is that right? Tateno looked over at Kano. He was talking to Achi and the others about something. The last time Tateno had seen Achi was back at Kitone's wake. He felt a strong surge of emotion, seeing how the boy had grown into a fine young man. Ooh, hydrate. Yeah, that's probably smart. Are you sure you don't mind driving? Kanan's voice snapped Tateno back into the moment. Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. Back when she'd attacked him on that rooftop, she'd moved too quickly for him to even get a glimpse of her face. Now that he was able to get a good look at her, he was shocked by how young she looked. Yet there was a cold gleam in her eyes, a glitter of awareness with no trace of emotion behind it whatsoever. In his long career as a detective, Tateno had seen eyes like that before. The look he knew well, the look of someone who had killed, and had done so many times. I'm so sorry about all this. Please look after my sister, Tomi said. She bowed deeply. No, I'm the one who should apologize. Tateno would have liked to go on to say that helping now was the least he could do to atone for what he'd done earlier, but stopped himself there. Nothing he could say to Itomi Osawa could possibly earn her forgiveness. Silently, Tateno lowered his head. His subsequent actions would have to make up for his crimes. He had to hope that this was possible. Kanan, you look after my sister, too. Tomi bowed once more. You two know each other? Tateno looked at the two girls in surprise. Kanan's my sister's friend, Tomi said. I just met her for the first time today. What strange series of events could have transpired for Maria and Kanan to end up as friends? Tateno felt a prickle of curiosity, but now was not the time for that conversation. Daisuke reappeared. He'd gone to fetch his car keys. You know where it's parked, yeah? Same as back in the day? That's right, over where we always hung out with Kitone back in grade school. All at once, Tateno was hit with a surge of childhood memories. sky was a piercing blue. The droning of cicadas echoed in his ears. A refreshing breeze brought intermittent respite from the heat. During summer vacation, they spent their days here in the parking lot behind Daisuke's house. As Tatano and Daisuke played near the stairs at the side of the lot, the blazing sun beating down on them, Katone would always come along with some iced barley tea for them. The two boys would race to see who could drink theirs up the fastest. The cold and fragrant tea flowed down their welcoming throats. Most of the time, it was Tatano who would finish first. Daisuke often wound up choking and spitting his out. Katone would flash him a motherly and sympathetic smile, and Daisuke would grin back at her sheepishly and fuss with his hair. That had been nearly 40 years ago, but Tateno could envision their smiles as vividly now as ever. They were his only fond memories of his childhood. Tateno took the keys from Daisuke, clutching them firmly in his fist. Yes, I have hydrated. I have drank the waters. All right, he said. We'll be back. He lifted up Maria and, with Kanon supporting her on the other side, began heading for the door. Then Kano called out to him, Detective Tateno. Aye. There was a look of sadness in the younger man's face. Don't let yourself become a detective like me. Tateno had the words right on the tip of his tongue, but he swallowed them back down. It suddenly seemed petty to trivialize the aspirations Kano had held for so long. Once Maria's safe, I'll turn myself in. After he made sure that Maria got to the laboratory, he would cease to be a detective and instead would simply be a criminal. In Japan, a charge of plotting to commit the crime of murder carries a prison term with labor of not more than 2 years. But despite the failures that had brought him to this position, nothing he had said up until now had been a lie. Once Maria is a safe. I didn't even read that. Once Maria's safe. No, once she is a safe, we will turn her into a safe, and only then will I become criminal for turning a woman into a safe. Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever. You could at least try to be the detective Kano had admired until the very end. As Tateno left the room, Kano saluted him crisply. Ordinarily, a detective wouldn't salute in plain clothes or without his cap. A little breach of etiquette just showed all the more clearly how Kano felt. Safing. If Tateno hadn't been holding Maria up, he would have returned the gesture. We salute. I cannot salute. I do not have arms. Leaving Endo Electronics, Tateno and Kanon carried Maria up a hectic Dogenzaka. The parking lot was less than a minute by foot. Before long, however, they found their way blockaded, well, kind of actually, blocked by a veritable wall of people. It was a riot squad with Kuze at the head. A police squad that carries out security and control activities in order to maintain or restore public order in the event of an emergency. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department has 9 riot police units, along with a support vehicle unit, for a total of 10 such squads. These also comprise teams that carry out certain specific functions, such as the Explosive Ordnance Division and Chemical Defense Unit. I feel like they had a little bit more budget for editing early on. They're having every once in a while I'm catching a couple more errors. It's fun. I cannot with the tail, no, unfortunately. Director Kuze? Tateno, what are you planning on doing with that girl? What are you planning on doing with her? I'd already informed Kano she's to be put under quarantine. If she's allowed to remain free, all of Shibuya will be in danger. Kanon took a step forward. Tateno could sense that she was about to move in for the kill. Easy now, he said softly. Wait. As skilled as Kanon was, she was no match for an entire armed police squad. I'm not going to take all of them on, she murmured. I'm just going to take the man in charge hostage. Tateno swallowed. Capture Kuze, then run off? It could work. Considering the time limit they were facing, he knew that they had to find some way to force their way through here. Still, given how far they had to go to reach the laboratory, he wanted to avoid direct conflict as much as possible. 1 minute, no, just 30 seconds. Tateno turned and stared at Kuze. The two had known each other since their rookie days. Director Kuze, tell me, what is it you believe in? What do I believe in? Yes. Weren't you always the one who said you needed to put faith in your subordinates no matter what? Well, yes, that's right. Kuze's eyes wavered ever so slightly. In that case, put your faith in me. No, put your faith in Kano. Kano? He believes that saving Maria Osawa will let us save Shibuya. He's doing everything he can to make that happen. Kuze's lips curled into a wry grin. Sounds like Kano, all right. I was thinking in such simple terms. Usually, the simple answer is the right one, sir. People like you and me overthink things. We make them to be more complicated than they need to be. Just consider for a moment. Will putting Maria Osawa under quarantine clear up this case? No, it won't. So as long as we don't know how she was infected with the virus, we can't rule out the possibility that other people have been infected as well. Taseno kept his eyes locked on Kuze's. Director Kuze, right now what we need to do more than anything is to get our hands on that antiviral drug Osawa's razor. We need to be helping Kano. Please, sir. Kuze furrowed his brow and thought for a few moments, then shook his head. Tateno, buddy, come on, I can't do that. You gotta understand the position I'm in. The director's voice squeaked into his childish register. Kanon narrowed her eyes. What's this guy's deal? She whispered. It's hard to explain. When his voice gets like that, it means... He was confused. Now was their chance to make a run for it. Seno signaled with his eyes to Kanon and get ready to sprint past Kuze and his team. Didn't get a chance to, though. Ugh. Suddenly, Kuze let out a pained yelp. Then as Tateno watched in surprise, he proceeded to collapse on the pavement. Arrgh! It hurts! It hurts! Have I been infected with the virus too? The riot squad immediately rushed to the director's side. As Tateno stood there dumbstruck, Kuze secretly flashed him a knowing wink. It was a terrible performance, Kanon muttered. Yeah, right? I bet it's definitely different in Japanese. It was a tour de force as far as I'm concerned. Inwardly, Tateno gave his boss a nod of respect. Slipping past the riot squad, he and Kanon headed for the parking lot. Several members of Kuze's team hurried to chase after them. Don't follow them, Kuze cried out as he withered the ground. Everyone stay back. If you get too close to Murasawa, you'll get infected as well. The riot squad stopped in their tracks. Tateno and Kanon took the opportunity to hurry out of sight. Darting through some narrow alleyways, they arrived at the parking lot. The area had changed since Tateno's youth, but some of the old air of nostalgia still lingered. There it is. The truck. Spotted the minivan with Endo Electronics written on the side. Tateno gently laid Maria on the back seat. Oh gosh, yeah, all of them have had so much fun with these photos, forever. She was still apparently unconscious. Once Kanon had climbed in the passenger seat, Tateno hit the gas and sped off. Hope they buckled Maria in at least. How far is it to the lab? Kanon asked. Normally it would take about 15 minutes, but with this traffic, it's hard to say. Tateno avoided the stop-go on Dogenzaka, taking side streets as he headed towards Shibuya Station. Once they'd re-emerged on the main thoroughfare, however, he spotted a checkpoint set up ahead. Barricades and armed vehicles were blocking the road. The scale of security effort just showed how grave the situation truly was. Tateno hit the brakes. What do we do? Kanon spoke without taking her eyes off the barricades ahead. Tateno thought for a few minutes before arriving at an answer. Yes, he did. Let's see. I'd have to plow their way through. Let's go. Get in the back seat, Tateno told Kanon. Why? I want you to hold on to Maria so she doesn't fall. A feisty grin came to Kanon's face. Got it. Kanon quickly clambered in the back and Tateno gunned the accelerator. It's do or die now. Tateno clenched his teeth as the van picked up speed. Then a patrol car came roaring out of a nearby side road. What the? Reflexively, Tateno eased up on the gas. The police cruiser cut in front of the minivan, turning to head right towards the roadblock. Crashing into the barricade, it plowed on through, not stopping until it slewed up the curb beyond. The car's impact had made enough space for the vehicle to slip through in its wake. Alright, here goes. Minivan barreled on through the checkpoint. Tateno wondered who in the world had been driving the cruiser. Tateno's phone rang and picked up as he sped onward. Were you able to break through safely? It was the voice of Detective Kajiwara. Tateno had thought he was at Osawa residence. That patrol car just now, was that you? A call came in from Task Force HQ saying that Kano had found Maria. Figured maybe Kano was planning to take her to Okoshi Pharmaceutical, and so Thought he'd need to make his way through one of the checkpoints here. The fact that it was you, Detective Tatano, no, that's quite unexpected. Kajiwara helped us. He let out a weak chuckle. Kajiwara, are you hurt? Nah, don't worry about me. Just please help Maria. I made a promise to my father that I'd save his daughter no matter what. Kano could hear the energy draining from Kajiwara's voice. Understood. I'll keep that promise for you then. Thank you. The line went dead. He'd crashed headlong through that barricade. There was no way he'd come out of that uninjured. Sorry, Kajiwara, Tateno said to himself under his breath. Thank you. He bit his lip, then stepped hard on the gas again. Okay, but like, how do we... Oh, now it's different? Okay, we can jump to Tateno again, maybe? No, this is the same jump. Try jump Stanley now. Well, okay, we can try to jump Stanley now, but unfortunately, it's not letting me go any faster through this, because apparently it changed enough of the future that, like, I now have to go through this again. So, I think here I can try to do it. Get ready for action. We've read this dialogue before. We don't need to read it again. It's happening because we can't skip it. We're not allowed to. Oh, now we are. Now we're allowed to. We weren't. Now we are. Okay. Need to go to the Scramble without me. I understand. Just gotta make it sound the most badass, and that's the way to do it. I trust Stanley. Get a beer with me after all this is over. I sure hope so. We can go to Stanley. It was 6:00 p.m. Alphard had contacted the Motley team at Endo Electronics, and the situation had immediately deteriorated. But the new developments had also provided them with one big chance. A chance that Alphard might appear in person at long last. You did fine. Jack Stanley set his hand on Kano's shoulder. Hold on, his last name is Stanley? Of course it is. A weak smile came to the detective's face. Stanley paused, unexpectedly moved. For that one moment, he saw in Kano the image of his younger brother, Frank. Oh. Okay. Hold on. I'm seeing we're here. I'm seeing we're here at 21. And we're gonna have to call it for the day. But we have Tateno unlocked. We have Stanley unlocked. We're in a great place to maybe actually for real wrap this up next week. Big fingers crossed, everyone. Big fingers crossed. Here, the only reason I would continue is if there's only half an hour left, and I know that there isn't. I know that there's going to be more than half an hour left of this because we have all these characters still. We have 2 new characters that we just started looking into, which I know there's not going to be like that much content for them still. Then we still have the epilogues. Let's let it be. Let's let it be. I want like 10 more minutes though. Maybe we can get like one backstory first to think about who Stanley is. Okay, 5, maybe 10 more minutes. Let's see. Jack, you have to get everyone to a safe place right away. Frank's nervous shout echoed through the hotel lobby. Stanley's younger brother was a member of the bomb and arson squad, a subsection of the Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Investigative Services, BEAS, that handles the investigation of bomb and arson-related cases. This was 2 years ago. The CIA had obtained intel that Alphard was targeting a high-class hotel in Chicago for a terror attack. Stanley and his team had searched the hotel interior and discovered the bomb set inside a large planter. When Frank arrived at the scene and saw the explosive, his expression grew grim. The detonation trigger is set in the worst possible place. It's gonna be a bastard to remove it. In that case, you need to get out of here too, Frank. Stanley said, No, I need to make sure I can figure out how this thing is set up so the disposal unit knows what to do when they get here. I'll be alright. Look, you can probably see it from back there. Stanley could indeed see the small explosive from where he stood. It was held in place by several screws. The timer just ticked down past the 30-minute mark. There's plenty of time left for the disposal guys to get here. Jack, I need you to help finish evacuating the building. There are a lot of people who haven't got out yet. But Stanley hesitated. From a cold and logical perspective, Frank was right. He had a job to do, and if Stanley listened to his personal feelings and tried to usher his brother out of there, a lot of innocent people could die. All right, he said. I understand. Heck, if we had something as simple as dry ice, we could just freeze this thing. Frank grimaced as he eyed the bomb. Dry ice, huh? Don't suppose ice cream would do the trick. That'd be a waste of ice cream. You'd be better off just eating it. Of course, even dry ice would be a long shot in place of actual liquid nitrogen. The brothers looked at each one another for a moment. The tension dissolved into laughter. All right, Stanley said. I'll be back. Hey, Jack. Once this is all tidy up, I'm gonna need a drink. Let's you and me have a beer together. Sure, you got it. Stanley headed for the hotel lobby, which was still overflowing with guests. You made the right choice here. Stanley gave Kano a thump on the back, and Detective cracked a tiny grin. What about my choices, though? Debating his own next move, Stanley stepped away from the others and took out his cell phone. He made a call to his superior, Gordon. It's me, he said. What's the situation? Here the Japanese police want to put Maria Osawa under quarantine. I'm assuming that's on your order, sir? It is. There are too many important people in Shibuya. We can't allow that virus loose. Besides, we now know that Alphard is after Hitomi Osawa. There's no reason to leave Maria at large any longer. If you put Maria Osawa under quarantine, she is going to die. I know that. But there'll be far fewer victims as a result. Gordon's words made something inside Stanley snap. In that moment, he lost any inclination to report that he was with Maria. Failure to do so would be dereliction of duty on his part. He knew that well enough. He knew it, but the fact couldn't overcome his revulsion at Gordon's callous attitude towards Maria. Victims are still victims, he said. What was that? Nothing, sir. I'll continue my operation to apprehend Alphard. Stanley hung up on the phone. Did he hung up on the phone? He didn't care if his superiors took action against him once this was all over. They intended to sacrifice one person in order to save the lives of countless more. From a purely objective standpoint, it was the right call. But what if that person was a loved one? What would they have done then? The dilemma gnawed at the back of Stanley's mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that it was wrong to just accept the lesser of two evils, to sacrifice an innocent for the greater good. No, damn it, he would save that one life and then save the lives of many. He needed to find a way to avoid the so-called easy way out, no matter what it took. He wasn't about to add a second big regret to his life. Not this time. Saving Maria was the right thing to do. His judgment wasn't wrong. Of that he was sure. He reaffirmed that to himself inwardly, over and over. Kano was watching Tateno prepare to depart. The group had put together a reasonable plan of action. Tateno and Kanan would head to the lab with Maria and attempt to get the antiviral for her. Stanley would accompany Kano and the others to the Scramble to apprehend Alphard. It was a two-pronged plan of action. Still, could they really count on things going as smoothly as Kanan had suggested? Stanley thought back on her earlier words. Once Alphard made contact with Tomi call me on my cell phone. I have plenty of information Alphard might want to bargain for. I can negotiate with him directly. Yeah, no, he definitely looks a lot younger now. Crazy, right? That meant that getting the password hinged on whatever deal they struck. What sort of things might Alphard request in exchange? Stanley cast a thoughtful look at Kanan. She was helping Tatena to carry Maria out of the room. Stanley doubted she'd answer if he just asked what her bargaining chips were. He held his tongue, watching as she left with the others. Whatever else happened, he needed to focus on capturing Alphard. He glanced at the monitor displays in the workroom. The disembodied sound of Alphard's voice from earlier crept back in his mind. I will appear at the rendezvous in person. After all, it wouldn't do for the star of the show to miss the final curtain. Yes. moral choices, moral machines, and also just another thing of for those of you who haven't seen The Good Place yet, it is one of the best series on philosophy and morality ever, all time. One of my all-time favorites. Definitely highly recommend The Good Place. Look up nothing about it. Do not. The spoilers are not fun. It is fun to find out on your own. Those words notwithstanding, it seemed absurd that Alfred would actually show up in the flesh. Nationality, age, sex, so much about the terrorist mastermind was shrouded in mystery. Why would someone who'd hidden so well for so long ever reveal their true identity? Yet Alfred had gone out of his way to claim that precisely that was about to happen. It almost seemed like he'd made turning up in person a major selling point of the deal. Looking forward to meeting all of you then. There's no doubt about it. Alfred wanted them to expect him on site and in person. Why would that be? He's using himself as bait to lure me and Kanan out. This is a near perfect opportunity to wipe the two people who are gunning for him the most. That being the case, how might he attempt to kill me once I'm at the Scramble? Stanley felt a sudden flash of insight. No, something was off here. His thought process was running well, each deduction logically following from the last. But at a time like this, that could be a very dangerous thing. Alfred may well have anticipated where this logic would lead. Stanley needed to assume that any clue he thought he'd found was something Alfred had left behind on purpose. So maybe the suggestion was that their target would come to the scene was a different kind of trap. At the risk of sending himself into circles, Stanley decided to rethink the whole case from the ground up. What was the single strangest part of this whole thing? There we go. Why had Alfred put an amateur like Daisuke Endo in charge of the kidnapping? He's smart. Yeah, not an anime. He's exactly just normal procedural thinking. It's very nice just to see like actual logic and go through it piece by piece. I enjoy it every time. Sure, being able to get a heart for his daughter gave Daisuke a strong incentive, but there still had to be a reason why he'd been chosen. If the kidnapping had failed, what would have happened then? Of course, this was Alpha they were dealing with. Maybe the possibility of failure was somehow part of the plan. Hell, Daisuke had managed to accidentally kidnap Maria instead of Hitomi, hadn't he? If Alfred had gone with a professional, that sort of mix-up would never have happened. Yet, even if that degree of uncertainty was acceptable or even desirable, using Daisuke seemed like too big a risk. There must be some other motive for bringing in Daisuke to the plan. Of course. Advantage. Using Daisuke must have provided some important advantage that outweighed his flaws. It was the only thing that made sense, which means that the reason that Alfred had Daisuke carry out the kidnapping was... alibi doesn't really track. That's kind of lame. Keep his true identity secret. Carry out some other objective. He'd set up the kidnapping, divide the ransom relay, and kept the full attention of the police on that. All the while, Alfred himself was working towards his true goal, getting Hitomi's blood, which meant that Daisuke keeping Maria by a mistake had in fact been a misstep. That was why in the end, Alfred had proposed trading the password for Hitomi's blood. Could that really be it? Stanley decided to take it up with the man himself. Mr. Endo, let me ask you something. Did you know that Hitomi had a twin sister before the kidnapping? I didn't know. So when did you find out? After I'd had Maria kidnapped, the organ trafficker took one look at her and said, I had the wrong girl. Said I was supposed to have abducted the younger one. Never mentioned Hitomi having a twin sister before this all started? No, if I'd known, I'd been a lot more careful. Alfred had certainly known that Osawa girls were twins, but despite the added risk the fact implied, he hadn't told Daisuke. There was only one logical conclusion. Daisuke's mistake hadn't been an accident. Alfred had intended for the wrong sister to get kidnapped. By using an amateur, Alfred had set up the police to write off Daisuke's kidnapping of the wrong target as a simple misstep. Had Daisuke brought in simply the name of camouflage, but why? Alfred was after Hitomi's blood. Daisuke was after Hitomi's heart. They both wanted the same thing, so why target Maria instead? Stanley's train of logic had run out of steam again, but he knew he was on the right track. Just needed to keep following where he found out where that track would lead. Where's the storeroom where you were keeping Maria? He asked. Daisuke hung his head. It's out behind the shop. Why do you ask? Would you mind showing me? There's something I'd like to check. At this point, he had to go back over everything, right from the beginning. He followed Daisuke out to the storeroom. Speaking of the storeroom, Daisuke said as they were walking to the back part of the building, there's something I've been wondering about. Just how did Maria manage to escape in the first place? You're certain you locked her in? Stanley asked. Daisuke nodded. At 8 o'clock this morning, the organ trafficker came by to check up on her. Made sure to lock the place up after he left. See, that visit must have been when Maria was injected with the UA virus. Makes sense, based on our working timeline of when we expect her to go symptomatic. When they got to the storeroom, they spotted the padlock that held it shut lying broken on the ground. Very Holmesian to go back to the beginning. It is. Daisuke picked it up, then opened the storeroom door. Huh, look at this mess. It was obvious immediately that merchandise had been stolen. Doubt Maria did this, Daisuke said. Maybe some thieves broke in? He made a quick inspection, assessing what had been taken. Digital cameras, laptop computers were missing. This looked like the work of some local thugs. This kind of thing has happened to me a few times before. Daisuke let out a sigh of exasperation. Stanley, meanwhile, was carefully looking around inside the storeroom. Where did you have Maria Osawa? Behind those cardboard boxes? The boxes indicated were piled high, closing off one corner of the room. If Maria were conscious behind them, the burglars may well have never noticed her. So Maria was able to escape from the storeroom thanks to the burglars breaking the lock. Just what impact had the stroke of misfortune on Alfred's plan, he wondered. What had Alfred planned to do with Maria if nobody had broken in? Gonna release her at a later time? Since he'd gone to the trouble of infecting her with the virus, it only made sense. Stanley could only think of one reason to release an infected Maria, turn Shibuya into ground zero for a pandemic that would sweep through all of Tokyo. What if Maria is evil? Oh goodness, no. A virus with a mortality rate of 100% would have spread throughout the region before anyone realized it. It would be impossible even to calculate the scope of such a disaster. First, it would run the circuit around the Yamanote line, and then if any of the infected happened to head to the airports at either Hanada and Narita, the virus would spread throughout Japan and the rest of the world in a matter of hours. If it hadn't come to pass, they'd managed to secure Maria before she could develop symptoms and become infectious. Is that because we were better than Alfred? No, they can't be it. Alfred wasn't the sort to commit such indiscriminate acts of terror. The threat was of the infection spreading, horrific as it was likely to cover some other scheme. Then what was the ultimate goal? Stanley didn't have enough clues to go on. Stanley made his way behind the stack of cardboard boxes. He'd spotted something that had fallen on the floor. It was a cell phone. Next to it was a woman's handbag. Stanley unzipped it, held a jumble of makeup, tissues, and other personal effects, but nothing unusual. If he was going to find any clues, it would probably have to be from her phone. He tried turning it on. No response. Appeared to be broken. Let me see that, Daisuke said from behind him. I'll see if I can fix it. Think you can? Stanley asked as he handed it over. Don't know until I try. That sign out front says I run electronics shop. Ain't just for show. Pandemics were a thing before 2020, but we all got to live one. I mean, it also happened in 1922, like this, the crazy flu, I think there was also. Yeah, bird flu, swine flu. Yeah, there have been a lot of pandemics of sorts. It's just we lived through a big one, too. It's part of, I mean, nothing was as big as the Black Plague, though. Stanley searched it more thoroughly, found a photograph tucked inside he'd overlooked on first inspection. What the hell? He stared at the image, swallowing the lump in his throat. Okay. This is where we'll stop. Right here. Jack. That's so cute. Okay. This is where we'll stop. Because I know exactly where we need to unlock Stanley again, probably. We'll figure it out. Either way. Yeah, it's definitely compared to Ebola virus. Yeah, that's a hell of a cliffhanger. So this is the cliffhanger we're going to stop on today. So I hope all of y'all are real excited for next week, because I sure am, because oh my gosh, we got 2 more characters, just bam. Who? I knew we were going to get Stanley because I saw the little thing at the bad end, but I didn't know we were also going to get Tateno. Super exciting. Yes, hello partner in time, and goodbye until next week. It do be happening like that. Yep, West Nile, Zika, yeah, well there's always a ton of them. There's always something going on, right? Yes. I do hope that all the time it'll be good. All right. Anyways, thanks everyone for hanging out today and look forward to continuing next week.
Bye, everyone.